We're back again. We're big baby Rom crying on the field, and the last bastion of true international footballing spirit rages on in Cameroon. It's episode 111.
What a tune.
Your favorite. I definitely had this on my Spotify top played.
Yeah, I was
Number
going to
one.
ask, did that come up there?
100% it did. I don't listen to
Yeah.
Spotify, but it heard it every time I played. What is the guy's name? Stefan Eck or whatever his name is. They tried to
Yeah,
buy
that's his
Arsenal
name.
as well.
That's definitely his name.
Something Scandinavian.
Stefan Eck.
Sounds like a what do you call it? A Quidenza you'd buy from IKEA or something. An Eck.
A credenza. I feel
A
like that's something that
Quidenza.
someone in Seinfeld would say.
Nah, something they say in Simpsons.
Simpsons? Oh, yeah, well, both shows that we very frequently watch. Well, at least
And
grew up
we're on
watching.
a show we frequently host.
That's true. We're the only ones that host this one.
Ah,
You
no
gotta give me
one
the right. You got to give me the right noise for that one because that was a correct answer. There you go. Let me get to my notes here.
Minorities. Well,
I,
let
I,
me
I,
go
no, I'm
through.
gonna cut you off, all right? Because I love the
Oh.
AFCON, all right. I'm gonna get ahead of you.
I am
I
the
wanna,
AFCON man.
yeah, I'm
Woo.
making sure that you ain't gonna talk about something else before we get to the AFCON. All right, 3
Take
groups
that,
wrapped up.
man.
Actually, surprisingly, they snuck by me. I think it's because there were 3 groups that I wasn't super invested in. Cameroon topped Group A, which they're the hosts, all that sort of stuff. They've got a decent squad, but not really carrying a whole lot of buzz. I feel like.
Not
Do
a
you
lot
feel
of big
like
names. Not a
no?
lot of big names. Definitely not the years of having Eto and Alex Song in there. Definitely
Yeah,
some low key names in the squad. But I mean, I feel like some of the draw is lopsided as well. Feels like some of
yeah,
the better teams are stuck in groups versing each other.
yeah. That's fair.
But yeah, no, good on
So
Cameroon hosting a tournament and coming top of your group is a hard task to accomplish.
for sure. And they look the best, to be honest. Like even like just passing the eye test, they look like the most solid outfit. In Group B, Senegal's group, and I was talking to you about this earlier today. They topped the group, but it's a bit sus in my opinion.
Hey,
One win, 2 draws, 1 goal scored, none conceded, 1 goal scored, which is kind of ridiculous because when do you ever see that? Also, if you went by goals for, it was in reverse order from first to last their group. So the more goals you scored in this group, the less chance you had of qualifying for the next round, which is a bit strange and kind of, not what you normally think of when you consider tournament football. But hey, that's
it's
maths
not
for you.
it's not the way you do it. It's not how you do it. It's the way where you finish, mate. That's where it
Exactly.
counts. You finish
And
top, not winning your games.
because look, they scored 1 goal and that's all they needed for 3 games. That's remarkable. It's amazing efficiency, but it's a bit sus. You finish fifth. You finish first with 5 points, and then fourth 3 points. Only 2 points between you. Like I don't know. It just didn't really feel like there was a real winner in this group because all of them with just 1 game more could have easily have finished top themselves. So it's just like a bit sus, but I don't know how much to take away from it. You pointed out yourself that they were missing us, a great player like Mendy, for example. Which again, how much does he add when they've not conceded at all over 3 games?
Now they will concede 0.
Maybe he'll score 1.
Maybe he's the secret goal scoring weapon. It's the secret sweeper keeper.
You guys hear about Edison talking about give me a run up front. Imagine they just throw Mendy on just to throw a bit of spice in there.
Hey,
Current
mate,
keeper's been doing pretty well. They need goals. Why not? He's a big lad. Get a cross into him.
To be fair, it'd be right in line with how the AFCON is traveling at this stage with all the shenanigans and I guess not off the pitch stuff, but
that's very much on the pitch.
Yeah, very much on the pitch.
All of it's on the pitch.
Yeah, some of it off. Gabon seems to be having more fun off the pitch. But yeah, I think my one of my favorites, at least one of them is doing better than the other. Meaning Senegal doing better than Algeria at this stage. At least they topped their group and are now safely through to the next round.
Yeah.
But a big name fell out of the tournament. Ghana,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yep,
party is over.
yeah, man. I just think that's a first of all, it's a surprise, but also the way in which they went out was it wasn't so much a complete capitulation because they went down 2-0,
Mm.
went a man down as well, then fought back 2 goals to go 2-2, but just really well won by I think it was the Comoros Islands.
Comoros, yeah,
Yeah,
Comoros.
Comoros Islands. Like that's they just fought a really hard game. Like it wasn't like Algeria's game, for example, where Algeria went down a goal and then
Mhm.
just got beat seemingly mentally. Like
Mm.
the end of the game was Equatorial Guinea just fucking toying with them and dribbling the ball around in their box and killing time as much as they wanted, which was
Mm.
crazy to see. Completely different from how Ghana crashed out, where they sort of crashed out because someone that they probably didn't expect to put up anywhere near as much of a fight really, really took it to them, and it was a great game to watch as well.
Mm.
In that same group, though, wrapping up, Morocco and Gabon go through. Um, they both actually look quite good because they won their individual games, but then when they came against each other, it ended in a draw 2-2. And it was a hard fought game. A lot of chances created both sides. They don't have too deep a squad. And
Mm.
their key player, so to speak,
Mm.
is not even really present at all for them.
Two best players in the squad for
Yeah,
Gabon were
yeah,
sent home.
yeah. That's true. That's true.
Lamina and Oba under mysterious circumstances, whether it's
Mm,
medical or something off the pitch where allegedly they were clubbing out till 5 a.m. and brought women back to the hotel and got into a scuffle. I don't know, but and Aubameyang's brother is also on the staff, which is I don't know nepotism or talent. Find out later. Let's see how that goes.
That's a bit of a trend for Orba, huh?
Hey, look,
Falling
he's
out
just
with
had
the
to help.
coaching staff under dubious
Mm,
circumstances. But hey,
yeah.
what can you do? Never look into it. It's all good.
Mm.
Um,
Sweep
Morocco
it
versus
under the rug.
Gabon.
Sweep it under the rug.
Morocco versus Gabon. Good game, but also both end up topping the group. Not topping the group, but finishing first and second.
Mm.
Morocco actually looks quite good, to be honest. Just solid all the way
They have
through.
some good names there. They have some
Mm,
no players that will stand out on a piece of paper, but I mean the likes of Buffalo and they're tricky
yeah,
players. They have a few technical. I think not Ben Rama, Belhanda. That's it. Belhanda. I think he's in the
yeah.
squad as well.
Mm.
For all
Keep it
those
solid.
yeah, like they've got some interesting pieces in there. So it's a tournament. All it takes is one game to make it to the final,
Yeah.
or semi or quarter. So I mean, if you can string a couple of games together, you're in good stead.
Oh, for sure. And I'm curious to see because obviously the draw's not going to be out just yet because there's still some teams to wrap up their
Mm,
groups. But I'm curious to see who they get because I feel like if they can knock out, they can get themselves a relatively easy matchup the first go. They rack up a bit of steam. They're going to be
mm,
kind of hard to get through. I reckon.
mm.
We're getting asked, what are we talking about? AFCON, the last
AFCON,
bastion,
baby.
the last bastion of true international football, the African Cup. One of the big games from the round so far. Nigeria versus Sudan. I was bringing up to you before. I reckon Nigeria is a pretty decent favorite. I'm
Mm,
feeling pretty good about it at the moment with that pick. Looked dominant so far. Decent win against Egypt. Dominant against Sudan. Beating them 3-1. They just look. They're by far the most physical team in the cup. Like by
mm.
far.
Specimens, very strong
Like
and athletic style.
yeah,
You
yeah.
can see it.
Yeah, like deep squad, but they play good football as well. They're not running around clueless.
Mm.
They've got a good identity behind them.
Nice kids.
Um, Terrific kids. I mean, they've always got good kids. Like
Especially
they've always got
recently.
good consistently. They've got a good color scheme, obviously, for it, but they always nail it. They've got some great designs on them. And they look to be certain of top in the group. They've won their 2 games so far. You know, you never know how they're going to finish their last game. I think even with a loss, they could still end up finishing first if other games go their way. But either they're going to finish first or second, they're going to make it through their group. Everyone knows in group stage of an international tournament, you win 2 games, you're 95% through.
Hmm.
Um, so looking good for them. And then on the other side of things, Egypt versus I don't know how you pronounce this one. Is it Guinea-Bissau?
Guinea-Bissau.
Bissau? You say Bissau? That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Egypt barely got it done, man. Like, they lose against Nigeria, which, look, I've said before, Nigeria is a tough outfit. Probably not the best first matchup to have. But
Mhm.
Salah's a bit anonymous. It's a bit difficult to get through the midfield, yada, yada, yada. But I didn't expect them to struggle against this team. I thought this was going to be where they sort of pick up their confidence. And I don't know if they could really walk away from it with a whole lot of confidence gained. But their last game they've got to play, they've got against Sudan. If they win there, they're comfortably through. Which,
Mm.
seeing what we saw from Sudan against Nigeria, not super confident in them. But at the same time, Egypt's not on a super hot trot either. So,
It's Salah or death with Egypt. If
yeah.
Salah doesn't get involved in any way, it's hard pressed to find anyone else that can do it. I guess it's live by Salah, die by Salah.
I feel like if you're gonna pick a player, like in world football at the moment, if there's a player that you can rely on and not feel too guilty about it, I suppose it's probably Mo Salah. Like he is
Yeah.
comfortably the best player in the world at the moment, at least
Mm,
current stage in football. So
mm,
like I get it why they rely on him so heavily, but at the same time, it's
yeah.
a lot to weigh on man, especially because I wouldn't say he plays out of position, but he's definitely been asked to do a lot more than we see from his usual skill set.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, he's been asked to set up his own goals, score, like just be a talisman for a nation as well. Like he's just really got a lot on his shoulders, and he's playing more of a striker, which isn't a more central role isn't something that he's best at. I think it relies on it suits his skills too much because he's better when he comes in from the left or
Off a flank,
on the
yeah.
right on his left foot and cut in or take an left back on his own and isolate him. So playing up front and with just the golfing talent with the rest of the team,
Yeah.
can he even get the service? So he's having to get his own service plus, score the goal at the end as well. But in the last
We've been corrected, by the way.
we've
It's
been corrected.
Guinea-Bissau.
There you
There
go,
you go.
Guinea-Bissau. There you
Hey,
go.
we learn a lot on this
There you
podcast. All
go,
right,
mate.
this is
That's
an
what we think.
educational one. I'm gonna tag it next time. This is an educational podcast, no longer a sports talk podcast. All
Now
right.
it's Sesame Street.
It is. Hey, don't knock on
Yeah,
Sesame Street.
you
I
have.
will end this podcast right now if you knock on Sesame Street. How dare
No,
you?
I'm not knocking. I'm trying to get to Sesame Street.
Sorry. Hey, that's what the song tells you, bro.
There you are.
Hey, but let's switch gears to probably a significantly more disappointing performance from a giant in the African Cup. Algeria versus Equatorial Guinea. Like, man, just what a capitulation from Algeria. Did not expect it. Did not expect it at all.
Old Equatorial Guinea, man. Oh no, would it be Equatorial Guinea? Because if it's Guinea-Bissau, it'd be
Hey,
Equatorial Guinea. There you
I'm
go.
learning one at a time. All right.
Hey, okay, oh, but maybe we'll get corrected along the way. But yeah, no, EG as we have it in the notes here, really throwing a throwing a spanner in the works to Algeria.
Yeah,
So
big time.
in case you missed our previous episode, I named Algeria as the favorite as they're defending the title. They're also 35 games unbeaten, spanning back from 2019.
If
Sorry.
you'd given me that statistic before we made those picks, I would have probably been with you on that pick.
Yeah, it would have been like betting against Undertaker winning at WrestleMania, but they got it done, and they got it done in a way that was, I guess, not what we expected at all. Where Algeria just ran out of steam right
Yeah,
at
bro.
the end. They
Yeah.
went down to a plucky goal midway through the first half, and they to credit to Algeria, they were bombarding and had their own chances, and Silimani scuffed a few shots, and a couple of bounces didn't go their way. But
Yeah.
really, at the end, they just kind of ran out of steam, and Equatorial Guinea really didn't feel much pressure passing the ball around, keeping it, knocking about in Algeria's half.
Yeah. Look, there was some precarious moments. The keeper made
Of
some
course.
freaking fly. The keeper made some terrific saves and kept them honest, right? And kept
Mm,
that one goal, that crucial one goal lead for them. But at the same time, it felt like uh, it wasn't so much that as soon as Algeria conceded, they capitulated. It
mm,
just felt like there was a good 10 to 15 minutes toward the end of the game where they kind of they weren't so much throwing the kitchen sink. They were just really just lackadaisically sort of raffling the ball upfield
Mm.
and hoping that just sort of through some sort of individual brilliance something would happen,
Yeah.
which I just
Mm.
think is strange to do when you're comfortably putting out a much more talent filled roster than your opposition.
Mm.
You've got players that have pretty clear patterns of play that you can isolate and give the ball to, and they can create something. Why is
Mm.
it so haphazard? I was just so surprised. I just wasn't expecting it, especially because they are the defending champions, but they've got sort of all the pieces. They've got a decent coach, they've got a decent team, they've got a clear star who's uninjured and coming into it with some confidence. So yeah, a bit surprising.
Yeah, it was almost like give Mahrez the ball and then see what happens at some point. See if he can drive in. And he did have some opportunities where he tried to cut the ball across to Somani or anyone else that was in the box at the time. But it felt like just a really disjointed performance. And as the comments allude to, Algeria haven't looked like a team that's defending their title 35 games unbeaten. It just seems like a bit of a rushed effort so far from
Yeah,
them. Really, like you mentioned, just haphazard, not really a cohesive team. Mostly relying on the individual brilliance
mm,
that Mahrez and Silmani and the game can present. So an
yeah,
interesting start for the defending champions, but credit to Equatorial Guinea for taking it to them and being one of the very few Spanish-speaking countries on the continent of Africa. They do
yeah.
also
How about
speak
that for a
French,
fact?
but mostly Spanish-speaking after being a Spanish colony from an independent colony, independent from Spain since 1968. So there you go,
How about that? Some more facts. Look how much learning we're doing today.
mate.
Can you believe it?
AFCON, it brings the best out of
Don't
people.
go. Don't. Yeah, it does. I've enjoyed the tournament so much
Oh,
so
it's
far.
been a
I want to credit from Equatorial Guinea. So like for Owono, the keeper, for making some terrific saves,
mm,
just ridiculous. And the goal scorer, who's their centre back, who ghosted in at the far post to get it wasn't really a tap in. He had to really stretch for it. But
mm,
for the centre back to be ghosting in at the far post like that, just like all the class of like a world class forward, love to see it. I
mm,
believe what was his name? Obono was his name. I wonder if he was the captain. No, I probably would have remembered seeing the armband, but still, terrific stuff from them. It's probably like what you love to see from international cup football is
mm,
these sorts of games where they're upsets, but they're also big celebratory moments for smaller teams
mm.
like them. And Algeria
Passion.
now in a pickle for themselves.
Mm,
They need a draw in the game between Sierra Leone and Equatorial Guinea. And then there's
mm.
also they need to be beating Ivory Coast, which is, you know, no easy feat.
No easy feat when Nicolas Pepe is winning player of the game and man of the match. So yeah, if you've got a
Yeah.
dangerous man in Nicolas Pepe on form,
Yeah.
tough task. But look, Ivory Coast, you think that they're I guess almost there. So it's all to play for, really. Sierra Leone and Equatorial Guinea, they're pretty evenly matched, you'd say, on paper. Maybe EG being on I guess on the upswing because of the big win.
Mm.
But Sierra Leone, don't forget that great keeper, great game at the start, and it
For
could be.
sure, man. Would love to see that go. Would love to see him qualify just for that storyline to continue.
Mm, mm,
Because one of the probably it's going to be so far. It's one of the highlights of Afcon. You know. And I just want to cover the picks really quickly, man.
yes, the
Uh,
most important part.
yeah. So I had Nigeria and Egypt. Feeling pretty good about them so far. Not gonna lie.
Mm,
I felt a bit skeptical. Um, yeah, I said Sierra Leone perfect. Hey, I get one. All right.
hey, you got a 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3
One out of
ain't
three ain't bad. Ain't bad.
the
It's not a
easiest
passing
ones.
grade. Just under a passing grade. That's pretty. That sums up my life. I don't mind. I'll take that. I'll take that. Almost good enough. Almost good enough. But yeah, feeling pretty good about those picks, especially with them being in the same group. I was a bit sus about it. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm,
When I finished the pot, I was like, damn, they're in the same group. I probably should have recalculated. But look, I'm sticking to my guns. Looks like they're gonna get out of the group okay. Or barring a failure from both of them in the last game. But how you feeling, man? Algeria looking a little skeptical.
Yeah, looks like they won't even make it out of the group at this stage. They left it all to do at the end. Senegal topped the group with 1 goal scored. Not looking the most confident at this stage, but we do what we do here. Is we stick to our guns. So I'm going to hold tight. I think
Yep.
Senegal will come good. That they're just too good to fail. Mendy's now coming back.
Yep.
Mane is in the team. Koulibaly, Drissa Gay. Like we went over it last episode in case you missed it. But yeah, they're too strong. They're big hitters. And the fact that they're kind of going through, if you want to look at it in a half full kind of way, the fact that they scored 1 goal and still went through top, means that they're pretty solid at the back.
Yeah.
And know how to manage games. So I guess you could say, it's a
They
stout
didn't throw any. They
resolution.
didn't throw any. They haven't thrown anything away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
not. They've not hit the heights we expected them to. But at the end of the day, they've not conceded any goals. They've got the points they needed to get. They've not shown any sort of sign of not being well organized or set up, right? And they've
Mm,
got one of the best forwards in the tournament.
mm,
You know what I mean? So, like,
exactly.
I wouldn't lose a whole lot of confidence in Senegal. Algeria, however, are like, they've put themselves at like a knife
Yeah.
edge,
Yeah, it's
really
the
tight.
way they're going about it is, I think, my concern. Where it's just Mahrez and then whoever can get on the end of the ball there, to get on to get on the score sheet. So it's just a little dicey there, but
Yeah.
we'll stick to our guns. I'll stand by the boys. We'll see what happens against the Ivory Coast and how Sierra Leone's game plays out. So hopefully, I don't die in
Mm.
the group stages and left with Senegal.
Well, we'll move on to the A League now, but look, we're gonna keep track of the AFCON. It's been terrific
Mm,
so far. It's great to have international football. I really do like it.
mm,
It's what I grew up watching. I never really watched football leagues growing up because I just couldn't get behind teams that weren't around here, I suppose.
mm,
So international football is really what drew my attention. So it's I've always got a soft spot for it, but it's actually been a terrific tournament. So
mm,
check back in next week. Hear the rest of how AFCON's going. We'll move on to the A League, which incidentally there's a kickoff in about 15 or so minutes.
mm-hmm.
For what was it? It's Perth Glory and Brisbane
Brisbane
Roar.
and Perth. Perth's first game since December 8th. Raw rooted to the bottom of the table, so absolute must watch
Yeah,
when you put it
legit.
like that. But look, just happy to see Perth play. As players, you obviously want to play as much as you can, but they've
Yeah, of
been
course.
interrupted by COVID, by borders. So look, I want
Interrupted
to
by
see
borders.
interrupted by borders. Yes, not being
Bit of
allowed to leave,
yeah,
not letting anyone
copping the
in.
old Novak Djokovic.
Hey, on the nose, Novak Djokovic.
Uh,
But the thing is, Sturridge is going to come off the bench. I want to see how gassed this man is going to be. Whether he's going to
Is
play
he coming off
every.
the bench?
Apparently, he's coming off the bench. So the
Uh,
sources have said. But look, it's they've had a stop. Well, they've barely had a season to begin with. The man's barely kicked the ball. He played about 5 minutes in the first game, and then didn't play
played.
after that. Yeah, played loose
Yeah,
terms.
yeah.
Like he was just
He attended
contractually
5 minutes of the game.
he was contractually obligated to walk onto the pitch for 5 minutes. But look, if they can string something together, they've had a second preseason again with the layoff, so hopefully they can turn it around
Mm,
and pick up some form and pick up some points of some teams that have regularly played but kind of I guess lost their way through the interruptions.
yeah.
But a team that hasn't lost their way through the interruptions, Adelaide. They
No.
really look to be the thorn in City's side, and another game and another draw, 2-2 again. Really can't seem to put away Adelaide, Melbourne. They just really
That,
can't. They just can't shake them off. There's spells where they dominate and create a lot of chances, and I feel maybe this is a theme for them so far in the season. It's a
yeah.
lot of domination, a lot of chances, maybe some slow starts or some lull moments throughout the game, but they just can't seem to put away Adelaide this game. And even in the first attempt, it was just relentless from Adelaide. And yeah, you could say Nuno's red card kind of, I guess, even the playing field a little bit. But even prior to that, it was a little bit rocky at times. And it's good to see Adelaide. Yes, they're going to lose their two best players, but they're still sticking through it. Their new sign Ibusuki Nippon is on the score sheet in the first game off the bench, grabbing the equalizer. Sorry, late in the game in the 85th, I
How
believe.
good, but like,
Great
just
finish.
bloke's shown up, put me on, coach, scores himself a goal. Like that's what you want from the player you've just signed.
Using his
You love to
size.
see, yeah, you love to see it.
You love to see
Love to
it,
see
but
it.
goal taking goal as
Sturridge
well.
can't relate.
Nah, hell no, hell no. He played longer than Sturridge and had a big impact. There you go. Also a taller man. But look, great start for him. Probably endeared himself a great way to endear yourself to the home support, scoring in front of the home end.
Equalizer
And
against the
equalize
defending
against
champs.
exactly. Great way to introduce yourself.
Terrific.
Look, again on the other side, City McLaren looked looked good, and the Boot scored a goal as well. It's not that they look poor; it's just they don't seem to be taking advantage of their spells of dominance or converting during their most influential period of the game. So
Yeah, that's fair.
it's weird to see a defending champion behave like this, but again, interruptions throughout the season so far, and especially in Melbourne.
Bit of a slower rate of goal scoring
Yeah,
for Jeff McLaren too, right?
yeah, he does. He's scoring now a little bit more consistently compared to maybe the first 3 or 4 games where he kind of went, I guess, quiet for a little while. But he's getting in front of goal. He's creating good chances. But again, like you said, it's a bit slower than last season. But again, it's hard to do. It's hard to repeat the
Yeah, of
feats
course, of course. But
in back-to-back seasons.
you wouldn't say that City overall has played significantly worse.
No,
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're gonna say, well, this team that isn't scoring as much as last season, but isn't playing is playing as good as last season, then
Yeah.
obviously the difference is who's not scoring the goals. Okay,
Mm.
our goal scorer that scored X amount has scored significantly less. Well, at least maybe not all the goals they're missing are there, but at least some of them are there.
Yeah, I just feel like the City of last season were more cutthroat. If when they were up, they were up. They'd put you to the sword quickly. 2, 3 goals done and dusted. Kind of to your point, maybe Jamie McLaren gets to early on, and then the rest is taken care of. Maybe a consolation or a third coming on late.
I think
pushes forward, but
I think also the underperforming of Matt Leckie and in my opinion, the more utility that was provided from the younger players, Tilio, and who's that other fella that I always forget? He's got the long hair. Kolakowski, yeah. Like they're more direct and more goal threats than Leckie has proven to be so far this season. So that's probably where some more of that is missing as well, some more firepower that they've had to bring in. Obviously, they've paid the bucks for him. He needs to play. And that has resulted in maybe a negative output in terms of goal scoring.
So and his work rate's a little bit different to those players. He's a bit more, if I was to put it in FIFA terms, a bit of a medium guy where he's not quite all the way forward and not quite all the way back. He just kind of sits in between. And it's great when you have the pace and you can take on someone and have an end product like he did to set up Nabut. But the thing is, he doesn't do that all the time. And so far, that's probably been the best moment in a City shirt. So if they can kind of drill more consistency or figure out a way to negate that issue of his work rate and his end product, I think they'll be in good stead. But overall, they're not too far off the pace. It's just a few tweaks or maybe a bit more match fitness or something like that that'll get them across the line. Staying in Oz, but on a different competition, the FFA Cup semis. Congrats to the Mariners. They're in the final. They beat City. Tough as nails performance. They really took it to Sydney. Great pen by Arena. Really, he powered it through Redmayne's legs. The most forceful nutties I've ever seen on a penalty. It was crazy to see because it just really just flew.
Yeah, you rifled it.
You really don't see that.
Nah.
And
it's like a hockey shot. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
The old five hole.
Yeah, right there, right down the middle. But look, Redmayne and I knew I'd forget his name. Birigidi, that's it. I was gonna write it down like now I'm gonna remember it. But Mark Birigidi as well and Redmayne, great saves throughout the game. It was an even contest for a lot of it up until the pen, but it was pretty much a stonewall pen. I mean, Andy King got beat, and then just too slow, half a step behind, and takes down the Mariners player there. But look, credit to both keepers. They kept their teams as alive as they could. Funnily enough, Redmayne had a cracking save before the pen, a couple
Mm.
plays before, and then he gets beat on a hockey shot through the legs, which was weird to see. But no, credit to Mariners. First final, they break their duck. They finally get there. I believe on the other side is either Wellington or I'm having a blank here.
I got you, bro.
Yeah, have a look for me because I know it's Wellington versus. I want to say
So it's Wellington and Melbourne Victory.
no. I was going to say it was Melbourne, either United or Western United or Victory. But
It's a tough
hopefully it's a
game,
mix.
pal.
I hope it's an all yellow final with Mariners versus Knicks.
That'd be cool.
That'd be very nice.
What's your pick there? For
Ooh,
Victory in Wellington.
ooh, I think Victory. I think that
Yeah,
just too much
they're
quality.
storming at the moment as well.
Yeah, but it also depends on whether if Victory will play their best 11 because maybe Popper's like, look, we'll let this one run. I
Semi-final.
think,
I don't know.
or maybe they think we can beat him with some of our um,
Younger
uh,
players.
not yeah, some of our backup
Yeah,
players rotating in, and plus they've got their own injuries, postponements, match fitness, all the usual stuff that the A League is currently facing. So we don't know how it'll turn out, but I love a good underdog final. So I'm hoping Knicks pull through, but I think my mind says Victory it'll be a
yeah,
Victory Mariners
yeah,
final, but which will also be good.
yeah. I think so. I think all the three remaining teams. I think it'll all make a good final.
Mm.
Um, let's go through the EPL a little quickly now. City versus Chelsea. A lot came out of this one, huh? Yeah, I mean,
Mm-mm.
obviously we're going into it with like, yeah, there's a lot riding on this in terms of how this will wrap up the season and what this will be.
Mm.
This could set some distance for City or help Chelsea catch up, yada yada yada, all that sort of stuff. But outside of the changes on the table, there was a lot that came out of this game. There was the handshake with KDB and Lukaku afterwards.
Mm.
There's a lot. Take us through this one real quick.
So, I mean, besides Kevin De Bruyne's wonderful goal, great goal, lovely for the eyes.
Did the
Um,
commentator say he's back when he scored that, or am I tripping?
I
I
can't
feel like
remember
he said he's
exactly
back,
now, but he
and
probably did say that.
I felt
I
that
think he alluded to it.
if he said it or he didn't say it doesn't matter because I felt that sentiment at least because
Mm,
I feel like I haven't seen KDB like just be KDB this year.
yeah.
Being very quiet, and I don't know
Mm,
if it's because the team's doing so well that he's just like, yeah, like I don't know what it is, but he just doesn't
mm,
feel like him.
Well, to be fair, he did kind of start the season late after that
That's
injury
true.
in the final, in the Champions League final, plus the Euros as well. He kind of, I
I
think he picked up a knock.
I'll be honest with you, man. I've given up trying to identify whether players are in form or out of form because of that reason. Because what
Mm,
player hasn't gone through that these days? Because at least COVID itself would take them out for a week or two, or
mm,
close
mm.
contact this, or so everyone's got these start and stop seasons now that it's kind of hard for me to
Yeah,
consider it a variable if everyone's got
yeah,
that
100%,
variable.
100%. But also, I think he's been asked to do different things for the team now. I think
That's fair. Further
with
back,
Foden's kind of coming out party,
he was
with the like
terrific in this game, by the way.
exactly,
Foden
yeah,
was the best he can play without scoring a goal. I reckon.
100%, exactly that. And the incorporation of Grealish and just a few systemic changes around City. Maybe have asked him. Maybe there's been a difference in what's been required of him from Pep. But I mean, I agree with your sentiment. But something else that the commentator did mention is he called the Etihad the empty hat. Um, which was hilarious because I was watching and I'm like, man, did he just say empty hat? And
Yeah.
then someone else in our group chat message saying, yeah, he said empty. And I'm like, holy crap. And then he did a long pause. I mean, and he goes, I mean, the Etihad, which was
For sure, you don't acknowledge it.
not
You
just
just keep
carry on.
going.
You
Because if you
said what
go
you said.
back, then you're like, damn, you
It
should
was
have
a
just kept going.
It's a Freudian slip, mate. Just keep going. Just keep going. Own your mistakes because
Empty
people will
hat.
call that out. They'll record it and then bang. It's all on social media. So you can't really
Has it
hide.
happened before?
Huh?
Has it happened before?
Not from
Was it?
memory.
I feel like it
Not
was a
from memory.
pundit, like
It might
talking
not,
on like
I think
on a show and called it
may,
the empty hat by accident.
maybe on purpose, but not in a conversational during a game like this. I think this was completely innocuous. and a Freudian slip for him.
Yeah,
But
this one was definitely 100% innocuous. Like
yeah, but
he really didn't
credit
mean
for
it.
Jim Beglin, but he just carried on. He called it out, and then he papered over it later in the second half again.
Apparently, he was forced to apologize. Oh, this is the Sun reporting this, so it's
Yeah,
probably
so take it
garbage.
with a grain of sun. Take a grain of salt.
Speaking of Freudian slips,
There you
there
go,
you
but
go.
take it with a grain of salt.
There you go. There's real
Um,
scientific proof they exist. You've just seen it.
There you go. But look, overall, City looked great. Could have scored a few more, but it's one of those City games where they dominated, but didn't really have too many clear-cut chances. It was just
Yeah.
you felt like inevitably they'd crack through it and find something, which was, I guess, what Kevin De Bruyne did when he slipped past Kante and scored. But
Boy, did he
Chelsea,
slip past Kante on that, huh?
it was,
Didn't expect that. Where did
no,
those legs come from?
that was
Ridiculous.
it was funny because you don't really see. I watched that and I was like, you don't really see that from Kante. You don't see him get beat like
You
that.
don't
But that
see
was
you don't
clear as
see
day.
both sides of that play. You don't
Mm,
see Kante getting beat off the dribble sort of innocuously where the guy just goes, I'm gonna run forward,
mm,
and he's
mm,
like, whoa, like you never see that from Kante. And then
no,
inversely, you never see KDB beat anyone off the dribble
that
like
is
that.
true.
So
He's not the fastest player on the
I was
pitch,
surprised
but
watching. I was like, this is so strange. Is maybe Kante was a bit like KDB is not gonna take me off the dribble. Oh shit, there he goes.
yeah, there you
Uh,
go. Maybe that was the case. But look, I just think it was I don't want to say that Tuchel's losing the players because I think they've had a very difficult season with all the injuries, chopping and changing of lineups, and then everything on top that every other team is facing with cancellations, COVID, and the like. But I think Tuchel wanted something different, and the players just didn't execute it or were too scared to. Because he seemed hell bent on screaming and yelling, looking to get more out of the team to push them forward.
yeah,
And they kind of showed that early in the first half when they came back on the pitch, where they had that just a spell of maybe 10 minutes or so, where the ball was fizzing on the pitch. They really pushed the ball up quickly and took their shots, took a couple of shots at City, but. Then after that, they kind of went back to their norm, sat deep, really kind of played for a draw, which was interesting. Lukaku, again, in the headlines. The guy can't hold up the ball. Tuchel calls him out on it.
yeah.
To be fair on him, he didn't really get service. I mean, Ziyech was clueless. I've never seen a worse performance from a player than that game. He couldn't even put a through ball through, and like he's a creative
Yeah.
midfielder. He
Like I
can't.
think I've seen worse performances in the sense that like they've cost the team more,
Yeah, yeah,
Like David Luiz has had some
yeah,
particular stinkers, stuff like that.
yeah,
But like just completely ineffectual, like
yeah.
at all. Like
Like detrimental most times with the ball.
the simplest passes were going astray. What he's been brought in for is he's got a wand of a left foot where he can ping a
Mm,
pass. He
mm,
did none of that, like not even close, not even the nice
no.
simple 2-3 meters away, play it into Lukaku's feet so he can hold it up. No, not even that. Like
Mm,
he was just
mm,
and like he was apologizing throughout, which makes me first of all, feel like okay, well, at least the guy's not got an attitude issue or something like that.
mm.
He's at least willing to accept he's making mistakes. But at some point, you go, well, bro, stop trying. Like, stop
Yeah,
doing these.
just stop
Like,
doing what you're doing. Just
yeah,
do
stop
something
trying.
different.
Don't go for the switch, and don't try not to put yourself in this position where you need to pull off a miracle pass.
Mm,
And try to go to something a little bit more reasonable.
mm.
If it's just not your day, it's not your day, sort of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
100%. But
but at the same time, it does kind of this game is one of those games where it's like I think we know what the ceiling is for Ziyech.
mm,
He's not gonna be like this Dimitri Payet type character where he hits the Premier League and wow, actually he's got all these talents that are well utilized and he supersedes expectations. I think he's probably just as much as what we've seen so far. He can ping
mm,
a pass every now and then, but he's streaky. He's not a
yeah,
consistent, player. And I just think in England, you can't be an inconsistent midfielder.
mm,
They don't exist. You need to know what you're getting out of your midfielders, especially in the EPL.
And I think you can't be a streaky player for Tuchel because that just means you're a liability to him. You can't perform consistently. So I think he's on borrowed time at Chelsea at this point. Yes, he did score a wonderful goal this morning and had a great touch, but he's now finally got a bit of extended game time, and he just doesn't seem to be just doesn't seem to gel. But look, we'll see how Chelsea go. They're ebbing away from the title and more so into a fight to save themselves, from falling out of the top four.
Yeah.
Another team that's fighting that same position, West Ham, had they won their game against Leeds, they've been 3 points away from Chelsea. So, both, I guess, the top four, or I guess anyone outside of City and Liverpool, really playing, hot potato on who's going to drop the ball and fall out of the top four, and give Arsenal, Spurs a chance to get into that spot. But onto West Ham, they lose
Mm,
3-2.
mm.
Bowen misses a sitter right at the end. Everyone was clowning him for it. But to be fair, the cross is deflected. He's not a tall lad. You don't expect him to score a header. But maybe he could have done better. But he kind of finally
Didn't he score a header in this game? But
huh?
didn't he score a header in this game, or am I misremembering?
Mm,
I'm pretty
he
sure he
might
scored.
have, but
I'm pretty sure he scored a header in this game,
I
and
think,
I think because your point is valid. The
mm,
cross is very hard to deal with because it sort of
mm.
ricochets,
It
and I
ricochets off
think
the top of the boot. It kind of fizzes at him.
yeah, I think when the ball's sort of really close to him, or when the ball's ricochet, he's already off his feet, so like
Mm,
he can't really, and he's just sort of adjusting in
mm,
midair.
mm,
So it's a bit hard to take, but at the
mm.
same time, I don't know. I just feel like you gotta at least try and stick your head down,
Yeah, but it's such
because
an
there's
awkward
no way
height.
that ball is coming down
It
doing
smacks him
that chest
straight in
up.
the chest, like
Yeah.
it's not like you could put your head down in front of it, or I don't know. It's a split
Yeah, that's
second
fair.
decision. The
Yeah,
ball deflects. You're prepared to head it, but it doesn't quite come to your head. Like it hits you in the chest.
yeah,
But to be
yeah.
fair, West Ham were done mostly throughout the game by on the counter, and really just looking a bit on their skates. Really, like this is probably
Mm,
one of the most Leeds-esque performances that we're normally
yeah,
usually accustomed to
yep,
seeing.
yep.
Finally, we get to see one, and Harrison scores a hat trick, and it's a pretty decent hat trick. Some nice goals in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Good
That one,
for,
I think it's the second one with the ridiculous through ball from Rafinha, where he just like
yeah, yeah,
split
yeah,
the whole defense.
yeah,
Ridiculous, man. That
yeah.
guy, he's such a complete player. Like when he first started ramping up for Leeds, I'm talking about Rafinha, by the way.
Mm,
When he first started ramping up for Leeds, you were kind of like, wow, he really is that pacey, tricky
mm,
Brazilian winger. With that's a bit of a goal threat. He is that he is that archetype that he's been sold to us as, right?
mm,
But as his hype has, as this sort of form has gone on, he's starting to show these other much more, I don't know, niche traits to have in a winger of his archetype. He's
mm,
got great vision, as you saw from that through ball. He's got great poise and finishing. He's got a lot of goals from outside of the box where they go in along the ground. He's got great placement,
mm,
good composure in front of goal. He's
mm,
not particularly selfish, which again super rare to see from this type of winger. Like
mm,
he's just a lot more complete than I expected, because I thought he was going to be one of these guys where, yeah, he was sold to a team under the speculation where he could be this great sort of prospect, like a I don't know, like Mbappe, so to speak, right?
mm,
And he's not really met that. So he kind of sort of trickled down to a slightly smaller outfit in Leeds, right, as a bit more of a
mm,
project. And you kind of thought, well, as good as he could be, he's probably just going to be this good Brazilian winger. I'm just
mm.
surprised he's that and a lot more. Like it's a very diverse skill set he's got.
100%. Yeah, I think this season because he's been asked to do a lot more due to the injuries and the nature of Leeds this season. I think we're seeing a lot more from him, and I guess he's showing up with different skill sets, like you said.
Yeah,
Um, Really assisting, scoring, and then on top of what he does, which is be a force out wide, and really take on his defenders and be
mm,
a nuisance. But look, credit to him. I think he'll be hard pressed. Leeds will be hard pressed to keep him this year. At the end of the season, I think there's going to be some big money thrown around. Where he ends up, it's hard to say. Depends on, again, depends on which club would take a gamble on him.
yeah.
Personally, I'd love to see him at Barca. I know it's a big step up, but and probably favoritism there. But I think he'd be a great talisman, and really a benefit to the team out wide.
Hey man,
Um,
if Dembele is going,
maybe,
that's a
maybe.
because I would love for them to go from, okay, we've had that sort of massive high risk high reward prospect. where if he hits his full potential, wow, we've got something special here. Let's
Mm,
go to the other where it's just a guy that's already shown what he can do. He's probably not ever going to turn into like the next Neymar or anything like that,
mm,
but he's a hardworking player with a complete skill set that is still tricky, is still flary, and still has that sort of X factor about him, but is going to put his head down and work, and isn't made of paper.
exactly.
Do you want to do a wrap up on the FIFA Best Awards just real
Yes, I
quick?
think they deserve a few minutes grilling because it
Go
was
on.
an absolute farce of an award.
Couple minutes on each side.
Couple of minutes on these things. Exactly. But look, your best team is in a 3-3-4 formation. Yes, you heard me right. 3-3-4. I'm not
The
saying
very
4-3-3
often
exactly.
played 3-3-4.
Yes,
All
very
the best
common.
teams use it.
Just to accommodate Messi and Ronaldo, to shoehorn Haaland and Lewandowski, and like, look, great players in their own right. But you could have probably sacrificed Ronaldo or Messi or something like that once in your life. No one
Or
will really.
Haaland.
Or Haaland, like Haaland's great, and I think it's
I
more so
think
to
it's
accommodate
weird that they
Lewandowski.
shoehorned four players. I don't know what your opinion is, but I just think it's weird they shoehorned four players on there. But really only one of them is a consensus should be on there, in my opinion, which is
Mm.
Lewandowski.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
Messi, Ronaldo, Haaland, I don't think like if one of them were left off, like who's the guy that's like, hey, you gotta have him on there.
Yeah, like if you had one of either Messi or Ronaldo in there, you could go, yeah, put in Messi. He won the Copa America, dragged
Yep,
Barcelona while he was
yep,
there across the line. There you go.
yep.
Or if you had Messi, Ronaldo, Lewandowski, there you go. Problem
Yeah,
solved.
problem
Put an
solved. Like,
extra player somewhere else. But
yeah,
the shenanigans don't stop there. We've got Salah, pretty much voted top three in the top three in Ronaldo, Messi, and I think it was Lewandowski as well.
yep,
Not featured in the team at all.
yep.
Mendy,
Stupid.
Mendy, Mendy wins best keeper. Not featured in the 11. It's Donnarumma, which is even weird. And even the women aren't escaped. Aren't the women's game isn't able to escape the shenanigans. Barcelona for the women's team, the Barca Femeni, first team in women's football to win the treble, so league,
Yeah,
domestic, and Champions League.
yeah.
They had Player of the Year, and on top of all that, none of their players get selected in the final 11, and their coach doesn't win Coach of the Year. It was Chelsea's coach. Shout out to Sam Kerr, who won the FA Cup.
Yeah.
It's how do you have the team that does the first treble in women's football
Come on,
not get
man.
picked? You just get the best player, but the best
You
player
get
doesn't
you
get
gotta
picked.
you gotta respect it in some way. Like even just as an organization, you gotta think this is gonna hurt our credibility if like tangibly the best women's team so far, because they're the first to do the treble, right?
Mm,
And we're not recognizing them in any fashion.
mm,
That just seems ridiculous to me. Like you're just willing to just douse the credibility of your own organization.
What little credibility you have, really?
Yeah, so like I don't know, it's just mental. What I did like though is I did like where they had the all the players that were at home Skype call in, and
Like a
they had
work
the
meeting.
they had like the live feed go right into the team. So as the team was formed, like you'd had like Messi and his little webcam, and like yeah, I thought that was funny at least because it just
Messi in a
humanizes the
t-shirt,
player. Yeah,
Messi in a t-shirt, and Lewandowski in a suit was a good parallel for how much shit they give.
bro, Messi doesn't give a fuck. I don't think he
Yeah.
even knows what they are anymore.
No,
I don't. I honestly think he doesn't know if he's at an award show or like an endorsement thing or whatever it is
mm,
until like things start happening. He's like, okay, oh, they're talking to me directly. Yes, okay,
mm,
this is an award thing. Or okay,
mhm,
sign
mm,
this. Uh-huh. Cut
mm.
this ribbon. Mm-hmm. He's got outside of that, he's got no clue what's going on. He just like
He's
he's especially now he's at home. He's got the webcam. I could just imagine behind the webcam, his kids are probably kicking the ball around. The dog's running around.
Yeah, the humongous dog kicking the
Yeah,
ball around, leaping around.
yeah. But it was good. It was at least that was fun to watch in that sense. But
Yeah,
outside of that,
terrible.
Garbaggio. How do you not have the best player in world football in the team?
How do you
How?
have the
How?
best keeper? You voted him as the best keeper. You
Yeah, it's
don't put
true.
him as the best keeper in the team. Like, why would that? How does that make sense? If you're
I
the
don't even.
best at something, that means there is no one above you. So how does? On what technicality does Donnarumma
He's
get
the
in?
best individually, but in a team format,
Mendy's not a team player.
that's what it is. That's the
There's your
stupidest thing in
problem.
the world. Alrighty, well, follow us on the socials at Last Go Wins Pod on Twitter. at Last Goal Wins Pod _ on Instagram, at Last Goal Wins Podcast on Facebook. Don't forget to catch the replay on Spotify, on YouTube. I think it goes on YouTube automatically.
Yes, sir.
And where else does it go?
It's on Twitch too. For a few days. I think it's about a week or so. So you can catch it there too. To recap, that's YouTube, Spotify, and Twitch.
Last Goal Wins. All glory be to Bozza. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Goodbye. Bow. What a fuck.